Western society seems to have aging and death very backwards. You can see it in how they treat elderly people for the most part. In other cultures, people look up to the elderly. They have a greater deal of respect for them. And in the West, it's not quite that way. There is some level of respect, but many people don't value the elderly in society. They just view them as less useful. And it's because of this attitude towards aging that people tend to have an aversion towards it, thus making them susceptible to all sorts of products which promise to retain their youthfulness. It's a huge corporation now. People make a lot of profit off of other people's fear of aging and how society views aging, like it's a bad thing to show wrinkles. I think we have a negative attitude towards aging in the West because it reminds us of death. We associate aging as being closer to death. And in the West, people have as well a very backwards view of the concept of death. It's seen as something to be afraid of. And it's seen as something to be afraid of because there's so much unknown about it. And the mind that wants to know doesn't like the unknown. It doesn't find security in that. So it avoids deeply contemplating death, the fact that one day you are going to die. I'm not saying any of this as a means to try to scare anyone. It's simply a fact of the matter. It's for the sake of being truthful about what is, that relatively speaking, one day you're going to die, and it's foolish to live as if that's not the case. Avoiding facing this reality, it stems from fear, essentially. Fear of that unknown. And whenever you're driven by fear, you become susceptible to all sorts of schemes and delusions from other people that just want to take advantage of you. Many people will deceitfully use this fear of death that's very widespread, it's shared amongst millions. They'll use it to their advantage to get a profit, to sell you all kinds of products that will make you live longer or to retain your youthfulness so that you don't look as though you're closer to death. And as well, there are religious organizations that use it to convert people. And this video itself isn't really an attempt to get you to believe anything about death per se. It's simply inviting you to stop avoiding it and to attend to it without the fear. If there is this fear of death, notice it. Really look at it. Dive into it. Why is there a fear of death? I would suggest that ultimately the fear of death is due to clinging to a particular pattern. And that's really all that death is the transformation of a particular pattern to a different particular pattern. And we fear this whenever we become identified with a particular pattern of experience. We expect a transient pattern to be permanent, and that's obviously foolish. You're just asking for suffering if you're clinging to the transient experiences. There has never been a particular experience which has survived death. It's unavoidable. And typically, when we hear this word death, we associate it as only the ending of a particular body being animated or alive. But death comes in many forms. Many are much more nuanced and subtle than that. We experience death all the time and just don't attribute it as being a death. So just acknowledging that alone can show you that it's not really so scary. It's only scary in regards to that which you're clinging to, which in most cases is your idea of yourself. So this brings us to the question, who are you? Who is the one that's going to die, allegedly? And the natural response to this question, who am I, is me. But me is a concept. Surely you're more than this word, me. Surely there's something deeper than the concept of yourself. Whenever you focus more on the you that seems to be afraid of death, the fear starts to vanish. When you actively look for the one that's aware of this reality of transient experiences and the notion of dying, when you look for that apparent center of experience, then the content of experience seems to dissolve. This talk is essentially an invitation for you to take a closer look at the one that seems to be doing the looking, the one who seems to be under the conviction that they're going to die. Who is it that's going to die? What is going to be lost? And what's so scary about that? When you take a closer look, I would suggest that you're going to eventually notice something that doesn't come and go. It's a something which is not really a something. I'm only calling it that for lack of a better word because a word just can't capture it. I suggest that you're going to notice an unchangeability, which doesn't seem to be stained by the coming and going of the forms. I'm not telling you to believe that there is such a non-thing, simply suggesting that when you look closely, you will notice this. When you notice this non-changeability, just sit with it and watch.